everyone. Welcome to another amazing episode of Beyond Paranormal Talk. I'm Dave, your host, with special host Gene. Hi, Gene. How's it going tonight?
Doing pretty good, Dave.
So, Gene, what brings you back to the world of maps?
Well, just all the stuff I've been looking up online and seeing in my personal life that I just want to get back to learning more about it and discovering more about all the paranormal stuff and see what's all out there.
Well, nice. Well, Gene actually was one of the original founders of maps back in, like 99, 2000, and way back in the day. He was a big member and influencer of the ghost hunting team back then. He also was into a lot of UFO stuff along with me. Him and I had a lot of weird stuff happen in our lives over the last, since high school up to 10, 15 years ago, stuff like that. We've seen stuff. Gene, recently, what got you into the UFO side of this?
Well, it's just the stuff I've seen in the past, and actually quite recently I've seen some stuff around the town I live in and lights and all the...
So what kind of lights, what stuff, explain a little better if you could for us.
Well, I'd be sitting outside my back patio and I'd see...
And this is in Marshall, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Be sitting out in the back patio, just staring off the golf course, and I would see beams of light over the golf course, and then they would be sporadic, going from side to side, disappear, reappear, and then it flew over my house, actually, and then just completely disappeared for the night.
Okay. So, could you explain what they looked like? Were they moving erratically? Were they moving in opposite directions? Did they stop suddenly and move, or did they slowly hover?
They would move erratically, side to side, and then they would stop, move. I mean, they just do a bunch of weird stuff that I know it was not no airplane.
So, what got you into UFO research and on this side of the paranormal, besides the paranormal side of stuff?
Well, growing up back in the big booming town of Sanborn, I would see...
That's in Minnesota, which is probably a population of 800?
If you're lucky.
Yeah. If you blink, you'll miss it, correct?
I have 400 people. Probably nowadays, but no, I would see lights moving in the same direction over the golf course, which would have been to the west of my bedroom window, moving erratically side to side, hovering over like the golf course, the river that ran through the golf course.
Yep. Cottonwood, correct?
Yep, the Cottonwood River, correct.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's kind of what got me hooked on it. And then I remember years later going down a gravel road with
me truly
Dave here, just driving around, minding our own business, being chased by
that black Jeep with freaking like state plates on it, or federal plates or something. Yeah,
I think it was like government plates or something, and it was a
6 semis with freaking tarps over the flatbed trailers, and then recently, like a week earlier, something crashed, and they told everybody it was a meteor. And then we're driving out, just road tripping, just having fun, teenagers doing nothing, and taking a long way back to drop me off at my house, and then we run into that.
Yeah,
we were crapping bricks back to my parents.
Yeah, didn't they chase us for like a mile and a half?
Almost right to the highway. Almost right to the highway. They followed right behind us, and basically every turn you took, they were right freaking there.
Yep. No matter how fast I went, they were there.
Gene, were you ever abducted, or ever had that kind of experience, or known people or someone that you knew that was abducted? And I froze.
Not that I can think of. I don't know of anybody that's been abducted.
Abducted. That's a funny word. So now, on your thoughts on becoming more into the U.S. side of investigation of maps, what do you think you'll bring to the role of doing that? Because you're mostly were always on the paranormal side, but
Yeah.
since now we're gonna do this, I think. What do you think your contributes will be? I love putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you
awesome.
so much. To be honest, I'm not quite sure what I'll bring to it, but
I would have said to that question, I'll bring myself.
well, you put me on the spot, man. Come on.
Excuse me, I'm still fighting a cold, everyone. Okay. So now we were talking earlier about Area 51. Can you brief back to that conversation that me and you were having, or you and I, sorry, were having?
If I can remember it, because that
It was
on,
about them having a hidden base, and the Area 51 was just a cover-up base to hide that base, to take all the publicity off of that one onto the Area 51 base.
yeah, my thoughts on that is there is actually a base that's kind of adjacent to Area 51 that they're just keeping hush hush, and they don't want nobody to know where it's at. I mean,
Yeah, and they used the Area 51 as the cover base to make that the hot link to take everybody's eyes off of the main thing that's going on.
yep.
So back when they had that big crash, was it in the 40s, sometime in the 1940 something? Do you think they actually was a weather balloon, or do you think they actually did find a spaceship?
Honestly, I think they actually found a spaceship. They're just covering it up.
Do you want to touch bases on why do you think they're trying to cover all this UFO activity up? Because over the years, everybody's got a cell phone nowadays, and everybody's taking pictures, and this is going to be getting more and more harder for them to hide and cover up. Why do you think they're covering it up? The fact that
because they know,
excuse me,
because the government knows there's something out there. They don't want us in the general public to know, because if we find out, even though, like you said, yes, we have cell phones, we've got access to Google, whatever search engine we can find this stuff on, that if it actually leaks out that yes, UFOs really exist and aliens do exist, that we're not alone in this universe, it's going to be mass panic and chaos.
Yeah, that brings me back to that movie that Rowdy Piper made. You ever seen that one where he puts those glasses on and then he sees all the aliens and everything?
I don't think I've seen that one.
You have to watch that. It's an old movie. I think it's back in the 70s, late 70s, where he puts on glasses and everything's plain. It's telling you to do this, do that, go this, do that. And he takes off the glasses and then it's just normal advertising on the billboards and stuff. And everybody looks normal. And then when he puts them on, and then the higher up people look like aliens. And
yeah,
it's worth a watch. It's an old movie, but also it's got him in it. So it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I rather watch Independence Day myself, because that's kind of more accurate to a lot of everything that's been going on.
So since you're talking about Independence Day, do you think something like that would ever happen?
I almost was going to say yes, but
we got a lot of stuff. I'm going to throw you on the spot a few times here tonight, Jeaner.
Okay, way to throw me under the bus.
Welcome to Beyond Paranormal, where you do not know what's ever going to happen.
But no, I literally think that something like that in the near future may happen. May not be in our lifetime or a kid's lifetime, but it will happen.
So since we're talking about Independence Day, I'm going to turn to the moon. Why do you think that we do not go back there?
Honestly, I think there's something there that scared the bejesus out of us.
Well, there is a theory that the moon is a satellite. It's actually hollow, that it's made, not created. It's made by extraterrestrials, that it's a station and that they're there watching us.
Well,
that's why they don't go back to the moon, because they found something and the government stopped them from going back again because of that. What's your theory on that, Gene?
No, I totally believe on that, because you think about it, we were in the United States and Russia were in the rush to get to the moon.
Yeah, and it was a big thing in the 50s, 60s.
It was a big thing back in the 60s and 70s.
50s, yeah,
We
60s,
beat
70s.
these Russia to the moon. Why hasn't anybody been back since?
Right.
Nobody's been back to the moon.
I think China did, or somebody recently's been there, but yeah, nobody's been back, and then that's just why all these things saying, oh, nobody, that's been all staged, the moon landing was all fake, and da 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 da, and they started all these conspiracy theories about all that.
Yeah, I don't believe none of that conspiracy theory stuff because
Well, I know, but I'm just saying though, there's lots of these theories, I can't even speak now, apparently, are just basically covering up, trying to get people's focus off of what really actually did happen, that they did find something on the moon. They did find that something was not right or it was off, and that's why they ain't going back.
Yeah, even if, like you said, if the moon is hollow, it's just a station,
It's a station. It's a
satellite
cover
for
up.
the extraterrestrials. My thing is, what if that we could put that in the hypothesis? What if they actually found aliens on the moon
When they landed.
realized
Correct.
that it was hollow and a station or a satellite, and that's why they never went back.
That's very true. Another big theory, since we're jumping out in the space, is that Earth is basically the center of the universe. We're the only life out there. There's nothing else out. It's just us. But space is massive, so you can't tell me, with all the constellations and all the universes and all that's out there, that ain't another planet just like Earth, or maybe just a little different, but in the exact right position to where life can exist. Correct?
Correct, because there are planets out there that can sustain life that are just like Earth.
Yep. And then jumping back a little bit is to another theory that's out there, since we're really getting out there tonight, is that actually aliens are basically us, but they're so advanced that they figured out time travel and they're from the future.
That is a very good.
And they coming back to help us to fix things that we screwed up through the years going up. But that's that theory too. But there's a lot of speculation that time travel it doesn't happen. It doesn't exist. There's no point yet in this world, in my lifetime, in your lifetime, that proves that this is an existent thing. But that is another theory out there, why aliens are just us, but they're just more advanced than we are.
Right. Then I totally believe all that, because how else can you explain like all this stuff that's like the pyramids in Giza? I know I'm going way off topic here.
No, that's fine. No, there's a lot of evidence that the pyramids and all that in Egypt were all helped and created by aliens, because there is cultures that are thousands of miles apart that they have the same structure stuff, same built, same things, same symbols, but they've never intertwined in their lifetimes. No. They never met. Their culture never met. They never traded. They never did nothing. But the pyramids are the same in Egypt as they're over in Brazil or wherever. And symbols in one spot are found in the other spot.
Yeah.
And there's no possible explanation to how this could happen unless there's something helping them.
Right. And I'm going to Stonehenge. That's another one.
Yeah, and it's still unsolved.
Exactly. Even though I was watching a thing last night about, or was it the other night, about Stonehenge, and that they think they figured it out, and it was like, I don't remember it, but it was like way off topic. It was like,
yeah,
no, that can't even be right.
So what were they saying about it?
Well, it was like man-made, and there was like there's not just one Stonehenge. There's like three.
No, there's supposed to be multiple throughout the world.
There's multiple henge. They don't. The other ones, they don't call them Stonehenge. They just call them henges.
No.
You know, it's just like, wow, that's like mind blowing that there's other henges around, and that it's.
Well, it goes down further underground, and it extends out further past Stonehenge.
Well, yeah, there's like one that was like 2 miles. Was it 2 miles or 2.5 miles to the west, I think, or whatever it was of Stonehenge, and it was like a massive, I don't know how many freaking kilometer wide circle.
Yep.
You know,
So go ahead.
no, and still talking about Stonehenge, they were saying that it was where they would put like the bodies so the gods or whatever could take them to heaven or
Wherever they go to, yeah.
whatever they believed in.
So, do you know much about the different types of aliens, Gene? Like the grays and the lizard, the chameleons and stuff like that?
I used to. I haven't really looked into it as much as of late, but I know about the grays and chameleons.
Well, let's jet back to probably what? It's been 10 years now since I've been up here in Brainerd. Let's go back to my when I was living down south there and I was in my camper stage of my life. Remember
first stage?
Yeah, we're bringing up the camper stage.
Okay.
That's before the buying a house stage. So anyway, I was living in a camper. God, it was probably that whole summer.
Yep.
We were just and you'd come over, hang out and stuff. And I just remember one night, like 3 nights in a freaking row, that I fell asleep. I woke up and I couldn't move, and all I saw was three grays were walking in the camper, and they were putting me back. And I remember I was like floating, and then I saw this like the chameleon, or not the chameleon, but the reptilian alien, and I don't remember much after that, but it happened 3 nights in a row. As I had that sleep dialysis, and I've never in my whole entire life ever had that before. But then it happened 3 nights in a row. I've never had it again since then, but it was just a weird thing. But before that all happened, I always was telling you, there's something following me, Gene. I see stuff. There's something's not right. And after that night, the third night after that happened, it never happened again. But to this day, I can't explain it. Do I?
Because after the third night, I spent the night out at the camper with you, and it happened again. We heard noises and all that out of the camper. But they didn't come in. Why they didn't come in, I don't know. Yeah, I was there. I have no clue. But
I just remember, and then just remember it. It's just like clear as day. I woke up. I remember my eyes wide open. I just couldn't move. I couldn't do nothing. I saw, but in my brain, I just heard them say, "Be calm, be calm." And I don't, it's just something that you can't sit there and go, really? Does this something that really just happened? Or is this something because it was just a part of my life that I had something going on that I was so stressed out that this happened? But up to that moment, up to 35 years, because I think it was 36, somewhere in there, or 30, yeah, whatever, somewhere in my mid 30s, I've never had this happen. Never. And then all of a sudden, 3 days in a row, same damn thing. Night after night at the exact same time. Night after night, pretty much. It was like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. The camper would always shake. I felt the shake. But people say when you have sleep dialysis that you can't move, but that could have you been just having spasms.
No.
So I don't know.
I remember the 4th night when you wanted me to come out because you were telling me about this, and I was like, oh, I got to see this stuff.
Well, I even had my magnets and my freaking tinfoil hat and everything on.
You had pop cans and everything hanging from the freaking
ceiling. It was.
But I remember
it was
that night. It was around that time, 1, 2 in the morning. That whole camper just shook like we're in an earthquake.
It just shook. It was just so weird.
We weren't even. It freaked me out a little bit. I think I had a mild heart attack that night or something.
I think we both did, because something like that's never happened to me. But for years before that happened, I've always had that feeling that something was watching me, if I can say that. If that sounds right.
That sounds right, because I kind of had the same feeling too.
But it never really came to nothing. But till then, that one moment, that week, it was just weird.
Yeah, I mean, it freaked me out. I mean, then there was times where even after that, I was having, thoughts of seeing lights in the sky, and no matter where I went, they were there.
Well, yeah, we spent hours chasing stuff that we saw. We saw we freaking saw a couple times we went after lights that we seen and followed them until we couldn't follow them anymore and ran out of road that we couldn't go any further. And then all of a sudden they'd just disappear or they'd stop like they were saying, haha, you can't chase us anymore.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Basically.
So
yeah, it was
that's pretty much one of my main life experiences with UFO, with an alien and being abducted. I don't know if that was what was going on. I don't have any proof or evidence of that physically what happened. In my mind, that's what I saw and felt. But there's so many outcomes to that story, what could have happened, and I can never prove it.
right.
But it's something that's never happened to me before, and it never happened again after that. It was just like a 3 to 4 day stint. And after that, it's never happened. And it's been 10 years, 8 years ago, something like that.
Like they were just checking you out to see what you were about because they knew you knew something.
Yeah. Well, hell, I don't know nothing. It's a hollow space, man.
You know more than I do, buddy. No, that's what I think, that they were just trying to see if you knew anything. Like they were trying to get into your mind.
I just remember seeing that the leader alien. I can't think of the name again, but I just remember that burnt in my head. Just seeing that, and then the three grays. Just shh, you're okay. Shh, you're okay. I remember that like clockwork.
Yeah.
Anybody has any thoughts on that experience you had? Shoot a comment. Let me know. So, Gene, what else do you know about UFOs and the great beyond, paranormal stuff?
Well,
let's enlighten us with your wisdom.
Oh boy. About UFOs, I don't know too much about what we were talking, except for what we were talking about. But jumping over to the paranormal side, I've seen things. I remember doing an investigation with you at the cemetery.
And Brent.
By the time you grew up by Lamberton, remember that?
Yeah, we've done a lot at Lamberton Cemetery. That's where basically all started.
We were talking, and one of them asked me how I was doing, and I don't know anybody in that cemetery.
Well, how about the shadow when I lived up and above lived in town there above the old antique store in Lamberton, and then I was in bed. And we got woke up. You got woke up with the ex-wife screaming that I was standing in her way. And we opened the door, and here she's screaming. And she said I couldn't see nothing. I didn't even see her until like 30 seconds after the shadow passed.
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
So I'll never forget that. I wish I had it on film.
Yeah, I remember that time, and I will never forget this day, ever in my life. Well, my girlfriend was pregnant with my daughter at the time when we lived out with you at.
On the farm. You guys went and got a bunch of groceries, and then me and my girlfriend at the time come back, and you're gone.
Yep. And then you asked me the next day what happened, and I said we were going to go upstairs to take a shower. We had a dog at the time. That dog went halfway up the stairs, yipped, and ran down the stairs, and I felt just this weird presence, like we didn't go up there. I don't know what it was.
You're gone for a few days.
Yeah. And I don't know what it was, but if it freaked that dog out and freaked my girlfriend out, my daughter's mom at the time, and me, I didn't want to stay around that because Lord knows.
There was nothing bad at that house.
Well, no.
Everybody thought something there was there, but there was nothing bad, I don't think. That place was pretty mellow.
Right. Well, I also lived in Westbrook at the time. I think shortly after that, or was it before that? I can't quite remember the time frame, but I knew a bunch of people were doing a bunch of.
Keep chatting.
Yeah, I know a bunch of people were doing a bunch of like Ouija boards or some spiritual game like that, and I had to go downstairs in the basement to do laundry. and I could feel this hot breath on my shoulder, and then the back of my neck, similar to that, and the back of my neck and part of my back felt like it was on fire, like something just went across and just, like scratched me. I didn't have any marks on my back, but I remember that very, very well too. So I know there's still.
So, Jen, my favorite tool to do any investigation, well, back in the day was an EVP recorder, a pad, and a camera. Well, nowadays it's a cell phone. But my intuition, my sense of stuff that's going on, I can feel if something's not right. I'm not sensitive. I'm not a medium or any of that stuff. But I do know a few little things. I feel it. But the cell phone, I depend on more on that than I do anything else. An EVP meter, it's a hit and miss on that stuff. And the ghost boxes, they're a hit and miss. You don't know. You could be bringing in an AMF or AM frequency that a radio station's going off on, and they're talking so weird, ballistic way. Your subject that you're talking about at the time, a word comes up. You can't be 100% on those. So mostly, I prefer my phone or an EVP recorder and just quiet, ask questions, and just listen, because you have less chances of interference with a phone or even an old recorder. That's about where I stand. How about you, Jeaner?
That's about where I
remember the question.
No.
She asked, "What kind of equipment do you prefer to use?"
No, I agree with David.
Back in the day, you liked
Back
EVP
in the day,
recorder.
it was EVP and have to
camera. You're good with the camera. You always took a lot of dang pictures. I have freaking files full of your damn pictures.
Wow. Can't help it. I'm photos. Leave me alone.
Yeah, but basically just something to record. Nowadays they got all these fancy new high-tech gadgets, but I don't think a lot of them are any good. I mean, really,
are they even that accurate? Really, they're not even that accurate.
An EVP recorder picks up electricity, a change in the electromagnetic field, but it can happen anywhere. I mean, you could be sitting out there not realizing, okay, I have my cell phone in my pocket and this thing is going off. Okay, yep, by the way, I forgot someone was calling me. And you got to work with me on the stuff getting put up on the thing. I screw it up once in a while. I'm not so Ovulus, I'm not a big fan of it because there's so much interference that could be added to that. I mean, there's a lot. In a way, it's a useful tool. In a way, it is. In a way, it is a useful tool. It is. But there is so much that can influence that thing. It's just unreal. I mean, unless you build something yourself, is it 100% legit? Did they actually add something to that product that, oh my God, it said this, I need to go buy some more stuff from them? See, there is a lot of trust issues between me and other companies that build products, that build equipment for paranormal people, because in the past I've had experiences with stuff that I would have someone else buy a product that had nothing to do with it and find out later on that we're doing an investigation and I'm using it, and then they have their name embedded in these EVP recorders. So this is why I never will buy an EVP recorder from anybody unless I go to Walmart or something or off Amazon that's non-ghost related. So that's my thought on that too. The Ovulus, I've used it. I have used it in many investigations, but I don't really find it as an accurate tool to prove in ghosts or communication with ghosts. Gene doesn't really know much about the Ovulus because he's pretty much been out of doing ghost paranormal stuff for a few years, and this is relatively a new product. But that's my thought, Jen. What's your thoughts on it? If you want to pop out a text message about it. Okay, perfect. I agree with that too, Jen. And they're so goddamn expensive. That's the thing. But this is why I like keeping it simple and keeping it old school. Like my most thing is my phone. I mean, I can take that anywhere, record hours of stuff. It only costs me what I paid for my phone and my phone service. So, and then I can sit there and listen to the audio. And I've got hundreds of cool EVPs and stuff off my phone. I've got shadow figures off my phone being stationary. I got my phone knocked off a table in the bar at Last Turn Saloon here in Brainerd. My phone just sitting there being stationary. I've got more evidence using my phone than I have using anything else. And I've have EVPs doing EVP sweeps, going and doing those. And I have other investigators and their phones are going off. They don't know they're getting a phone call. They don't know they're getting a message, or one surfing in the corner on the internet because they don't got nothing to do at the moment. Any little thing will set those things off. So since I'm boring, Eugene,
You're
off
boring.
subject.
I'm learning. I'm listening.
And matter of fact, just another interesting thing off these REM pods, we just realized and figured out a couple years back that your two-way radios will interfere with them. They will make the REM pods go off. They will make them light up and do everything. You can have your two-way radio on your side, REM pod 3 feet away from you, and your other teammate goes, "Hey, Dave, where are you? I need you." And his REM pod's going off. You're like, there's something going on. So you got to watch out on these high-tech tool stuff, because some of that stuff, it has its ups, but a lot of it has its down parts to it.
Yeah, I got to start.
Very true, Jen. Yep. Basics are your best tools. Your intuition, notepad, and just listening, your phone, camera, stuff that you know that can't screw up evidence, because your people that try to, I can't think of the word again, I'm having a duh moment, that try to pick apart your evidence is going to find everything and anything possible that they can pick it apart. So the less things you give them to be able to pick it apart, the better. So, hey, I just used my phone, and this is the EVP I caught at it. I was the only one in the area, and here's the videos I can prove. I did a 360 of the whole area. There's nobody here but me. But yes, you're using a ghost box, but you're using frequency that picks up radio stations. So how can you tell me that it isn't a radio station that had somebody speaking at a time when that passed through or when it ran through? I can't. And like the audit list, it said, you're going to die. Well, it's a fact. Everybody's going to die one day or another, but who knows how that interfered? It could have been something stupid. Somebody could have had a glitch. It could have done, it's just how it is. But great questions, Jen. Appreciate it. And Gene's like, what the hell are you talking about?
That's the sad thing.
What is it?
For so long, I'm all like scatterbrained right now.
I know what the old EVP recorders are. Remember, we had a whole bunch of those damn things. Now you freaking can't find them anywhere. The good ones, the old freaking ones, the ones from the 90s, 99, 2000s, those old original first ones, they freaking want $100, $200 for those damn things on eBay. The good ones.
Like I said, I got to get back into it. I've been gone.
So if there's any other questions, anybody, keep them coming. We'll get some. If anybody has any questions for Gene, since he is actually officially back to Maps, he's actually going to be full-time, reboot his role as the founder to Maps. And we're going to be doing a lot of cool stuff this summer, so stay tuned. I do have a couple books out. My Paranormal Life. I actually have 3 volumes to this one. I also have a new one that's getting dropped late tonight, tomorrow on Amazon. So one's going to be a great one to check out. I do also have a Ghost Hunting 101 guide on Amazon. So check them out. There's a lot of good information in there for all the new beginners. There's tools, tells you everything to use and how to conduct an investigation and all the good stuff. And Gene's over here chain smoking. Yeah, it's a lot different from back in the day, Gene, when we just hit out and did it ourselves. There was no Facebook, no YouTube, no none of this fancy stuff.
But
It's
I'm glad.
changed. It's a different world. It's a
But I'm
different world
glad
now.
to
It's
be
all
back.
digital.
I'm glad to be back doing this. I've missed it for so
It's a
long.
it's a digital world now. Well, we missed you being on the team, Gene.
I
Now we
mean,
can start it over. What's your all-time favorite place you've been to here? Well, in Minnesota, it's gonna have to be the house that I call Hell House. Actually, my Paranormal Life 3 is based off of that book, off of that. It's an actual house here in Minnesota. I can't really tell location because I signed confidentiality of the house. It's a pretty big paranormal poltergeist activity that goes on there. There's a lot of, that's where I got the most coolest EVPs I've ever got in my life. It's the biggest place where I saw shadows. It's the first place I've ever been physically touched, pushed. It's got a lot of history. There's not no really bad evil spirits. The book, My Paranormal Life, Volume 3, is based on that, but it's a lot of the stuff in it's changed just to protect the owner and the location of it. But that's where I first saw my first big poltergeist activity. So I'm gonna have to say that house. It was one of mine. Do you have any Gene, your investigations when we first started? But definitely check out my book. It's worth a good read, and it's pretty good. It's based off of life facts that happened, but a lot of it's been changed. So it's a good read though. It's based on stuff that happened there. And Gene's still chain smoking, dude. You're gonna kill your lungs.
like you said.
And Greyhound Bus Museum up in Hibbing. That's another great place to go.
Now you make me want to check these out myself.
Well, you check out our investigations. We did 2 of them up to Grey House, and then read my book, Gene.
I'm gonna have to.
Actually, I was planning on going back to the house again this summer sometime. She actually agreed to let me come back. She's up in her 80s now, so she's getting more enthusiastic to let me document this better.
Okay.
Because when I wrote the book, I actually had to get her permission on it before I even released it.
Okay.
So back to you, Gene. When you first were in it with me, what were your favorite places to investigate?
Well, by far, like my favorite, even though I know it's been so long, but my favorite was TLR. I loved that place.
Up in Wilmer.
Up in Wilmer.
Well, I'll never forget freaking Brent scaring the crap out of himself. A temperature change. I've never seen a white guy so white.
I've never seen a big white guy run so fast, and you look, you see a flashlight, then all you hear is say, "Oh," and then all of a sudden you just see the flashlight go fleek. But no,
no, nothing to do with the Boyd House, Chad.
Getting into that night that happened, I went with somebody on some road. I can't remember where it was. You called me. And you're like, where you at? And I mumbled the address or the street and the road, and I can't remember where. I said, I got this dog, black dog. I was going to, have it come over to my house, my car. I was going to pet it. You literally said, no, that's a hellhound. And its eyes went red.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And
that was right. You were out driving.
Yep. And as soon as it heard you say hellhound, when them eyes went red, I shut that door and I floored it. And that thing followed me for about 1.5 miles before it gave up.
Oh, I've seen a few hellhounds over my days. I remember the first one I seen. I was probably about 12, and it was in the ditch. It was Christmas night. We were coming back from Christmas Mass, and I saw it as clear as day, full moon. Its eyes were just bright freaking red, just right by, just down from where you got in your accident, Gene, right there in that area.
Right in that general spot.
Yeah, right in that general area where he smoked my parents' neighbor, or our old boss's wife when he got in the accident, right there. And that was probably about 12, 13. Those eyes were just right in the ditch, bright, like flaming red.
Huh.
So, Jen, what are your favorite places to investigate, or the place that you went to? I've been to Boyd House, but it was a long, long time ago. And no, the house I am speaking of is not it's not that kind of a destination. It's owned by an old elderly lady. She does not let anybody ever in, and it's very seldom that I even can get in there. It depends on the mood she's in and if it even happens. It took me the first time to ever get in there. It took years. I mean, I think I pushed 3 to 4 years before she finally let me in. And then the last time I was probably in there was 2 or 3 years ago, and now she's starting to finally talk about letting me back come in with a team to actually document the stuff that's going on in her house. And Gene's just sitting there going, duh.
What else do you want me to say? I've been out of this.
Nothing. This is a part of the podcast, Gene. Just have fun, man. By the way,
world,
this is Gene's
so
first.
long that it's like, duh.
By the way, world, this is Gene's first podcast. He's doing pretty good. So everybody just go, good job, Gene. You're doing good, Gene. Proud of you.
I'm trying.
You're keeping the conversation going. So, Gene, any interesting locations since we're off of Beyond Paranormal and going on to more of the paranormal side now, I guess? Because, hey, we talk more about anything here on Beyond Paranormal. What places would you think you'd want to go investigate or ever had a thought to go look at?
Actually, I've been really wanting to. This has been going on for a while, even before I started this stuff.
Oh, nice, Jen.
Was going down to New Orleans, checking out some of them.
That would be interesting to go down there. I know a few people down there, actually. If you ever want to go down,
that would literally be fun just to see if a lot of this stuff is legit. Sorry.
Oscar says hi, Jeaner.
Hi, Oscar. You don't scare me.
Oh, there ain't Oscar. Ain't a scary animal. That's my one and only possessed doll I have.
Kind of wondering how that
would me being
something like that in a house where I'm at right now, right next to a church.
And me scared to death of freaking of dolls because of my brothers and Chucky when I was little. I have a haunted one myself. I'm actually looking into another one coming up this week, a haunted doll. So I'm hoping we can get it. But I know I have to make a safe in and do the sanctuary of it in the garage because the wife is not going to let me have it in the house.
You want me to build you a box for it to put it in?
Well, I got it. I mean, I'll just the new house. I got a spot for it. So for them,
it better not be in the guest house when I come up to visit either.
It might be. It might be. You never know.
I'll sleep in my car.
So, Gene, remember how we first started all this? The maps. Remember how many hours?
It's been so many years since we started this, Dave.
Remember freaking all the freaking hours we spent trying to think of the name for the first part?
Oh, yeah. I remember. I don't remember who came up with the name, but I
don't even freaking remember. It's been too damn long. And then freaking the website.
I love this damn name. I love it to death.
It's been part. I still have the original freaking uniform when this first started. I still got yours too.
Well, I would like that back. I really would.
Well, you have a great night, Jen. Yeah, tune in again. We have another one coming up on Wednesday night. We have a special guest from Canada joining us, so it's definitely one you don't want to miss. She is a hoot, and Gene will be there, and I'll be there, and everybody will be there. So have a great night, Jen. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. So yeah, our half an hour introduction podcast for Gene turned into an hour, I guess.
No, that's fine.
We went from talking about aliens to ghosts, which is it's nothing. That's our main cup of tea. So we're all game to talk about that stuff.
Right.
Ooh. So Gene, start gabbing because I got to do something quick.
Well, you want me to get
Gene,
I could
talk about ghost aliens. Keep going. I got to do one thing quick here on my phone.
Gotta love when you put me on the spot, man. Especially my first night.
You got it, Gino.
Like I was saying a couple minutes ago, I literally live in a house literally adjacent from a church. And the night I moved in here, I didn't sleep a wink because, one, it's a new house. So I figured, okay, you know, it's just a new house, all the noises and all that. But this hasn't happened since, so I don't know what's been going on. If it was just if it was my mind playing tricks on me, but I have where I'm sitting right now, I can look into my kitchen kind of, which leads into the basement. And that basement door opened and it slammed shut really hard.
Yeah.
You know, so me being me, freaked out like a, you know what? I turned every light in the house on. Every light in the house on. And I went down the basement with a flashlight that I have, trying to find this thing. And in the corner, okay, that was my cat. Sorry. In the corner of the room that is on the south side of my house, I opened up the door, put the flashlight in the corner where like my electric box would be.
Yeah.
There was a shadow figure standing there.
Okay.
It was there. I seen it, and then it was gone. And I've lived in this house since November, and it's not been back since.
Never saw it again?
Never saw it again. Never had any. I've had a few inklings. There might be something present in this house. But I have 2 cats in my house, and they normally would sense that. And there's been times where they have sensed something here. They look right at the basement door. And then they just go about their business. So I don't know if it just pops in and out to say, I'm still here. You know, see, I don't know much about this house. This house was built back in the 50s. I know that. It's 75 years old. It's had multiple people live here before I even moved in. So I don't know if it's basically because it used to be the old pastor's house from the church back in the day or what.
Gene cut out again, or it's my internet.
No, I heard a noise.
So anyway, Wednesday night we have Amy Murphy from Canada joining us at 8:00 Central Standard Time. She's definitely a hoot and someone you don't want to miss. She has a lot of stuff going on. She's a very interesting lady to talk with. You will enjoy speaking with her, listening to us speaking with her. So tune in on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then don't forget, I do have a new book out, The House in the Woods, that will be dropped on Amazon tomorrow. So definitely check that one out. It's pretty good. And Gene smokes a lot.
Trying to quit.
But thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. We will see you Wednesday night, same place, same time. And we will have a lot more interesting things to talk with about Amy because she's been on a huge different adventure of hers. So it's going to be awesome. So come and hang out with us Wednesday night and be sure to check out my new book. Y'all have a great night.
God bless, guys. Thank you.